Okay, welcome to another edition, Discussions of Truth. I started this program 4 years ago during the Zika virus pandemic, or excuse me, epidemic in Miami Beach. Go to bit.ly / Zika, capital Zika, Miami Beach, capital MMB. That'll lead you to a article that I published with Honey Colony. Miriam has been tackling the devastation of the honeybees for probably close to 2 decades now, I suppose. Um, that, folks, led me to the Rockefeller Foundation and banking corruption, and from there I was led to Dr. Anthony Sutton. Anthony Sutton spoke at a 1972 convention in Miami Beach, for which he was reprimanded for. And when he returned to Palo Alto, they threatened to take away his fellowship. He walked away within a year. Published his own books, and went to a public house called Trine Day, Trine, in Oregon, and that is the same house that has agreed to publish my newest book. You can look for that hopefully in the coming year. It's been delayed for various reasons, of course, in 2020, but I do anticipate release in the next year. I'll try to keep this short, folks. Look. When I started this 4 years ago, I was, when the Zika virus entered the area, Miami area, I was concerned of contracting it. So one night I was in my studio on Meridian, and I was bit by a mosquito, and I thought, oh my gosh, I've got the Zika virus. What's the, it's a slim chance. There's a very, very slim chance that I haven't gotten it. And once I started looking into the pesticide, I realized the pesticide was far more toxic and threatening than the virus itself. That pesticide is known as Naled. Another trade name for it is Dibrom. I urge you to look into Dr. Sutton's research. He exposed back in the late 60s and 70s and into the 80s, and I think into the 90s, exposed during his professional career that Wall Street was funding two sides of American enemies. World War I, World War II. Precisely, Prescott Bush, the father and grandfather of two U.S. presidents, was funding the Nazi regime, that's Hitler, through Union Bank, as he was one of the founding fathers of that bank. You can find this in public searches, that bank was tried as an enemy of the state for their financing of the enemy. This is nothing new. I was recently in DC, and again, I've had to postpone and reschedule guests. I had been in Miami for an event in October where the president himself, Donald Trump, pointed at me and called me a prize fighter for the work that I've been doing. And the whistleblower I was working with at the time, who'd been engineering the software for Google for 8 years, had blown the whistle on a program called Machine Learning Fairness, and came out about that. We know, of course, that corruption is indeed running rampant in our government. Our country has been infiltrated, but this is not new, folks. Nothing alarming here. There's no need to sound the alarm. This is nothing new. To give you an example to extract, 1913 is when the Federal Reserve was formed. That is officially when the enemy took control of the government banking backbone. Woodrow Wilson later lamented the fact that he had signed that bill into law, the Federal Reserve Act. It happened 1 year after the Rockefeller Foundation had been formed, 1912, or rather, a year after Standard Oil had been dissolved into the Rockefeller Foundation, basically, is what that was. All of the major companies of the dismantling of Standard Oil, be it Chevron, Mobil, well, later became known as Chevron, Mobil, Exxon. The shareholders were the main shareholders were all Rockefeller owned. There are no coincidences. The Rockefellers then started investing in Chinese healthcare. They have today in 2020 a 100-year. I think this is established in 2013. A 100-year plan to envision of what global healthcare is to look like. Here's another example. The University of Chicago was started by J.D. Rockefeller primarily. A major grant. I think it was a $600,000 grant by J.D. Rockefeller, 1890 somewhere. It's nothing new. George Washington owned shares of the Bank of England during the American Revolution. That doesn't imply that George Washington was doing business with the English. What needs to be understood here is that the Bank of England is only controlled by the British Parliament by a very small percentage. It's my understanding. The large control are private. The Bank of England is housed in the City of London, the Corporation of London. The City of London is its own private corporation. William the Conqueror was unable to conquer the city in 1066. And thus the City of London, a Roman banking mechanism, and you can find the previous episodes, I talked about that, is something that has continued to function and operate. Are there ties to the Vatican? That's research that you need to do, and I can confirm from what I've researched that yes, are very muddled though because they get caught up in Switzerland and private corporations and companies and funds that make it very difficult to make connections. Fast forward to the early 70s, and Dr. Peter Beter was speaking out against gold being sold to the IMF, that's Basel, Switzerland, from Fort Knox. He said that the gold that had systematically been clumped together, starting with the FDR gold abolishment. He took public gold away. It was 1930s, I believe it was. The gold in the 70s had been sold primarily by the Rockefeller Foundation to the IMF at a very cheap price, is my guess, per this Dr. Peter Beter, who was a JFK economic advisor. That the United States simply has no gold. What we do know, we have public record, is that the Federal Reserve Bank, a central bank, again, this is a European central bank, exists in the United States, and the U.S. Treasury. Both of those institutions say that and claim and say have no gold. The U.S. Treasury, of course, representing you, the taxpayer, the Federal Reserve Bank, not representing you, the taxpayer, the Federal Reserve Bank representing private interests. So if these private interests are supporting your government, then you must ask yourself, who are private entities? Who are the shareholders of the Federal Reserve? Why is that not made public? A government, a federal government, is for and by the people. Why is it financed by a group not representing those people? Only you can change that, folks. Only you can change that, and you must. That is that is, in my view, that the head of the beast that has spread its tentacles of corruption at this great land that we call America. I just returned from DC, where I was fortunate enough to voice things of this nature, express these things to one congressman in particular who was disgusted at the $26 trillion debt, looking for answers. Taxpayer, as a civilian, as a member of this great country that we've inherited, you must ask yourself why that, regardless of the administration, regardless of the political party, regardless if it's Democrat or Republican, why does the federal government continue to sink itself into this quicksand of debt? Debt has been grossly grown since the past years, since Bush Jr. got into office. Obama drove it deeper. It's been driven deeper because of Trump, but of course he's actually had to fight some of these global invasions. COVID-19 is a based off of my research of understanding this virus. COVID-19 is a bioweapon. It itself is not a weapon. It itself is nothing more harmful than a common flu. It's a coronavirus like H1N1, like Zika. What seems to be the harm, hopefully not this round, the harm will be coming in the future with subsequent rounds. That's why you must identify this now and defend yourself and abolish. Again, you must abolish this banking corruption. That's the only way to keep this republic surviving and alive. The threat is in the vaccine, folks. The threat is in the vaccine. Look into Microsoft patent W2020060606. That will help explain to you how the coming move to transition your economy and our economy into a digital format. The product is you. Okay, the product is you. This patent by Microsoft mines its cryptocurrency off of your mints, like you would wear a watch, that runs off of your every time you move your arm. It's not solar powered; it's kinetically ran, and that's what this. My understanding. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that's what this Microsoft patent aims to do. The mint, since there is no gold, this is again, you can equate this to the fall of the Roman Empire. This is how the Roman Empire fell. The denarius so greatly devalued over the centuries that its people had no power. There was a very small percent of people with had all the power, and most of the people were living in poverty. This is look at our neighbor to the south. If you're living in the United States and listening to this in the United States, our neighbor to the south, the great country of Mexico, they're living in the same condition, a very small percentage with incredible wealth, and the majority of people impoverished. There is basically no middle class in Mexico. That's what's happening to the United States. So Canada and members of the British Commonwealth, in that sense, if you will, have a little bit different system. There's a little bit more wealth, and large, of course, a middle class that's much more healthier because they have this royal system that they still run, this monarchy system. The United States, like a phoenix, installed their system in their constitution and flourished in an incredibly short period of time. I can't name a country that has risen to prominence globally outside of the United States in a faster way. The United States did it in a very short period of time, and they did it because we opened our doors to all of life. We opened our doors to all languages. We opened our doors to all religions. No other country had ever done that before, and that is what has made us a fantastic and great country. However, this communistic banking scheme, which has been officially implanted in the system since 1913, has really put a cramp and a stunt and a retardant on the growth of the American people. Through the various wars of the past 100 years of this country, there's always been the idea that the United States is getting involved in wars to help spread democracy, to spread freedom. Nothing could be further from the truth and accuracy, in my understanding. These banking cartels have used the United States Constitution, have used the goodwill of this country for their own benefit. to their own manipulation of other countries' natural resources. Um, and that is what the United States has fell victim to. And we're seeing that come to a head here. What's happening is the Donald Trump, it seems, uh, is aware of this corruption in the government. He understands that the root of this is the economy, the money, the currency, the Federal Reserve. He is moving to abolish that. He's moving to destroy it. JFK did the same thing. JFK was more aggressive in that he inserted silver certificates into currency. He had his head blown off in Dealey Plaza for doing that. Garfield had done something similar. Um, Abraham Lincoln had done something similar. He got his head blown off, of course, in Ford Theater. And this is nothing new, as I alluded to. George Washington was owning shares of the non-British Bank of England. Bank of England is only British in name, like the Federal Reserve is federal in name. They're living in disguise. They have a mask on. They are pretending to be nationalistic. They're not. They're private entities. The Bank of England is primarily a private bank living in a sovereign country, or housed in a sovereign country, and that would be the City of London, which is a private corporation that's not part of the United Kingdom. The Queen reports to the City of London, not vice versa. She does not control the City of London. These are treaties that date back. The treaty dates back to 1066. William the Conqueror was unable to conquer the City of London. It's again, I will repeat, a Roman banking mechanism. So, Andrew Jackson in 1840s, I think it was 42, ran a re-election platform to kill the banks. Controlling the bank has been an Achilles heel, if you will. It has been a thorn in the side of this country since day one, folks. Just like the European Central Bank that controls the U.S. Federal Reserve and therefore the U.S. government has been a thorn in the side of the Trump presidency since day one. It just so happens that after the impeachment effort to get him out of office came along this ridiculous pandemic. This is time for you to open your eyes, folks. And the same experience I lived in 2016, I believe it was, with the Zika virus. My eyes were wide shut, if you will. They were completely, if you will, blind to this. Felt that Zika was a threat. The threat was not Zika. The threat it was a pesticide, not instance, but the banking corruption. You're dealing with an invasion, and you need to defend yourself. And it is not about being a Democrat. This is not about being a Republican. This is about defending your Constitution, defending your most basic rights. When you are being censored on the internet for voicing your opinion, for spreading research, for spreading videos, something that you show is fact, and this is being taken down, that is a violation of your human right. It's a violation of your your constitutional right. Yes, I would argue it would be your human right, okay? And you need to stand up for it. You need to put a stop to it. Money controls the world. There's an old saying, money makes the world go around. Money makes this country run. The United States government is in a deep, deep debt, and you must stand up and you must ask, to who is this country in debt to? Who is this country indebted to? And why is the current administration and any future administration not, or any past previous administration, not paying off this debt? Okay, that should be your main focus right now, to destroy that debt and to regain the economics that run this government. Look at Article 1, Section 8 of the U.S. Constitution. It seems to be that the Federal Reserve violates that legality, those terms of the Constitution. Congress must have the power to print and coin currency. That power is with the Federal Reserve. It's a private bank. The Congress does not rule on that. Some of these things really are an easy fix. And that's why you must get active. You must write to your Congress people. You must write to your governors, senators. You must get involved in your government, and you must get involved in DC. You must start to speak up. You must reach this. I direct you to Anthony Sutton. That is my main source. There are other sources out there. There are other folks out there that have authored, but you need to find credible sources from credible institutions that have spoken out against this corruption, and you must deliver that and take that and destroy the central bank that's corrupted your country. You must do that to retain your freedom. Okay, honor your U.S. flag, honor your anthem. There's no need to change the flag. There's no need to change the anthem. Uh, do not buy into false flags. Okay, um, you know in your heart, in your soul, what type of person you are, and if you have good intention, you must speak up and you must speak out and you must stop this corruption. In my view, there is complete voter fraud behind the 2020 election, without a doubt. Go to your public browser, type in Rockefeller voting fraud. That'll likely take you to a LaRouche publication published in 1972 that details the Rockefeller Foundation designing voting equipment that was fraudulent. Uh, do your research. I've been working on this for 4 years. I do a weekly talk show. I have stopped. I have not done it now for about 7 weeks because of the movements that I'm getting involved with. But this is now my second update, and in a short future, I will get back into doing my weekly shows. And again, please expect this book coming here. I've been working on it for a couple of years. Please expect this book to come out here short in 2021, the next year. Folks, once you understand what you're fighting, you're not fighting the Democrat Party. You're not fighting the Republican Party. Okay, you are fighting the banking corruption. You're fighting the corruption and the tentacles that they have spread to destroy your freedoms, and they've done it systematically in a very well-engineered way. It's been a 100-year attack on your rights. Once you can deliver, like Robin Hood, once you can deliver the money back to the people, once the roads get paved like they should, once the schools start to teach proper literature like they should, then, folks, you will have saved your republic, and you will have saved your Constitution. Make no doubt about it that the founding fathers were well informed. They were visionaries. They had learned from fallen civilizations of the past. They knew what it took to live freely. That is why this country rose from nothing to being a mega power in such a short period of time. Because the Constitution is the most just and free document ever written by man. It does not need to be touched at all. The core values of the Constitution: freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of press, these must be honored with integrity, and you must fight with everything that you have to defend, period. And you must know that the Federal Reserve is an illegal organization, that is systematically attacked to implement communism and destroy your democracy, take down this republic. This has been an attack in a very stealth and quiet manner for decades. But now this is surfacing. This has come out on a mass scale. You have 74 million Americans that have voted for this president who got into office 4 years ago. 74 million. That's more than any president in the history of the republic. And the opposition is trying to fool you into think that 80 million voted for Biden. So what is the true number? How many Americans truly, with caravans 100 miles long, supporting Donald Trump? What is the true number that actually supported this incumbent president? That is what you should be fighting tooth and nail to know, because there's absolutely no way this corrupt Joe Biden, and I'm sure he's a wonderful person, I'm sure he's a great guy, and I'm sure he's just simply made poor business decisions. He's not seen, he's not done his due diligence, he's not done his homework to realize and know that the Federal Reserve Bank that controls government, controls his employer, rather the investment group that supports the company he worked for. He's not known of their corruption. And make no fault about it. Again, this is not a Democrat issue. This isn't this isn't a party issue. This is bipartisan. This is the banking system that controls and corrupts both parties. That's what this is about, folks. And you must do everything to stop it. And you must stop it now. You've got now a main task ahead of you. Your task is to realize that the vaccines are being used to manipulate your economy and your currency. They are being used to install the coming push for a digital currency. That is why this vaccine distribution is being pushed so heavily. You must identify that. And then B, you must identify that your currency has no value. It's a fiat currency. There's zero value behind the Federal Reserve nor the Treasury. And if you cannot go to your neighbor and ask him for trade of a sweater, and yet give him, if you're simply going to give him a stick, what is he going to do with that stick? He's going to burn it and make a fire? Perhaps. Does he see value in that stick? Well, I guess it depends on how large the stick is. Is it a tree? Will it last him a year? The United States Federal Reserve notes are of no value. There is no value behind that note that you are achieving. There's no gold supporting it. There's no silver supporting it. The coming digital revolution, because it is a revolution, folks. It's not an evolution. Make no mistake about it. It's not an evolution. It is a revolution, and it is meant to make you and the information that you possess. It is meant to make that the new gold. You are the new gold. If the product is free, like Google or Twitter or Facebook, if the product is free, folks, that means that you are the product. And you are what will make and bring value to this new digital currency. So, again, a digital currency has a lot of prospective benefits to it. There's no doubt about it. But you must demand that there be value supporting that currency outside of the value that the intention, the globalist banking system wants the value to be, and they want you to be the value, your information to be the value. But again, if you go to your neighbor and you say, oh, hey, this is who I follow on Twitter or Facebook, that's likely of very little value to that intrinsically. How is that person going to help? How is that going to help him or her build a house or beat his stomach? You need something tangible. You need a real value to support your currency. So if you have a digital currency, make sure gold is supporting that digital currency. Make sure silver is supporting that digital currency. Now, there, certainly are perhaps various arguments to that, because now we have a population that spans all around the globe, yeah, whatever it is. But the fact of the matter is, there is deep and heavy corruption in the United States, and you have a choice. You have a turning point, you have a pivot point to make. Do you want a global order that is ran from Europe and Switzerland, and in my view, from the Vatican? Yes. Or do you want, and that's based off of fraud, isn't it? Yeah, I'm telling you it is. Look, again, read the research by Dr. Sutton. Or do you want a global order, if you will, of freedom? Do you want a global order of liberty, tolerance for all that is represented in the U.S. Constitution? This is my fear, folks. This is what I see happening. This sinisteristic bank cabal that is ancient, based in Europe. Again, the roads are leading to Rome. All roads lead to Rome. You can follow it through the Bank of England. And again, my source on this is, and I'm pointing you again to Dr. Sutton, who was born in Britain. That's my source. So please read him. They have a very ill intention. There's an ill intention. It seems to be that pedophilia is becoming more accepted amongst groups. It should not be accepted. There's a law that passed in San Francisco. One of my best friends was a gay man. I have gay friends. I don't care what sexual orientation is. Okay, I happen not to be gay myself. I don't care what people practice in privacy. That's up to them. But I have an issue when it becomes public law. I have an issue when Weiner, I think is his name, ironically, right, of San Francisco, has now passed what is it, SB? What's the code? SB 144. I'm not sure if I've got that right or not. Basically what that is saying, and of course, there's a legal structure to it, but basically it's saying it's giving permission for adult men to have sexual intercourse with minors. I don't think, I don't think that should be accepted. Me personally. So anyway, you must decide what are the values and morals that you're willing and wanting to stand up for, and you mustn't feel discouraged. You must feel supported. You must know that there will be people that will not support you, but you must also know that there will be people that support you. What's most important is that you feel the strength to be able to do it and know that you have that right. But if you don't stand up, folks, then that right will be taken from you. Anyway, these are my thoughts. I'm leaving it at that. I look forward to delivering another discussion of truth. Again, the past two have been simply self-discussion for you, presentations, if you will. I will soon resume the interviews. I'm getting a lot of people that enjoy those. I know that they are very in-depth. Typically, they're very focused and they're very informative. And I encourage you to do the same. I encourage you to start your own weekly shows, and upload them to podcast form. I include you to write and publish your own research. I include you to stand up for what you believe in. Again, this is not about pointing fingers at a Democrat or a Republican. We are all in this together. What this is about is upholding constitutional values, and not allowing this ridiculous movement of defunding our police departments, not allowing our statutes, regardless of what the statute represents. This is history. History is meant to be learned from.
whether it's whether the history is depicted as good or bad, history is history. And the more we can learn and read and make ourselves better from history, the better. So stand up for what you believe in, folks. Please, if you feel and you have the means to support, please donate. Tell friends to donate. Purchase the book; it's on pre-order, and and I look forward to hearing from you. IanTrottier.com. This is Discuss Your Truth. Until next time, seek and destroy, folks. Be awesome. Also, go to stopcommunism.net. Stopcommunism.net. There's a link there. Click on the link. That is a great book that I believe to be very informative. Again, you must cross-research. You must cross-reference everything that comes out of my mouth. You must back it up and you must support it. And if you find it to be inaccurate, please let me know. Until next time.